There is a moment at every table that decides everything. It is the moment after you have had enough. The hunger is gone, the pleasure of the first bite is long behind you. You are, by any honest measure, full, and the hand reaches out anyway for one more. Not because you want it, because stopping feels like loss, and the appetite has learned to keep going on its own. That small, automatic reach is the whole of gluttony. And the virtue that cures it is not starvation, and it is not denial. It is the quiet power to say one short word that the modern world has made almost impossible. The word is enough. And the person who can truly say it and mean it is freer than almost anyone alive.
Pilatus widened this, because it was never only about food. Gluttony is the appetite that does not know how to stop in any direction. It is the next drink, the next purchase, the next episode, the next scroll, the endless taking of more, long after more has stopped giving anything back. Temperance is not the enemy of pleasure. This is the great misunderstanding. The temperate person is not the one who refuses the feast. He is the one who enjoys it fully, and then rises from the table while he still can. He has not killed his appetite. He has trained it. It now serves him instead of driving him. And a trained appetite, like a trained animal, makes life richer, not poorer.
Virtuous virtue, too, has a counterfeit, and it is the opposite excess pretending to be the cure. It is the rigid, joyless control that has become its own kind of obsession. The man who has made a religion of denial, who cannot enjoy anything, who counts every calorie and every coin not from freedom but from fear. That is not temperance. That is gluttony turned inside out, the same lack of peace, just pointed the other way. True temperance is not white-knuckled restriction. It is ease. It is the relaxed confidence of someone who can take a little or take none, and be perfectly content either way. The glutton cannot stop. The ascetic cannot start. The temperate man can do both, and that is exactly why he is free.
The reach for one more is almost never about the thing in your hand. Read it, and it will tell you something true. The fourth drink is rarely about thirst. The thing you buy and never use is rarely about need. Underneath the appetite is usually an emptiness the appetite is trying to fill, a boredom, an anxiety, a sadness that food or wine or shopping can numb for a moment. So when you find yourself reaching past the point of enough, pause and ask the real question. Not what do I want more of, but what am I actually trying not to feel? The glutton answers every discomfort with consumption. The temperate man has learned to sit with the discomfort and has discovered that it passes on its own and was never as unbearable as the appetite claimed.
There is an old idea that is the heart of this virtue, and it is more than 2,000 years old. The wise teacher said that virtue is a mean between two extremes. Courage sits between cowardice and recklessness, and the mastery of appetite sits between the glutton who has too much and the joyless miser of the self who allows too little. The point is not to want less. The point is to want rightly, to take the amount that serves the life you are trying to build and no more. This is not a rule you can write down, because the right amount changes with the day and the need and the person. It is a skill, a sense trained over time for where enough actually is. And like any skill, no one is born with it. You build it, one honest stopping at a time.
Here is the secret the glutton will never believe. Restraint does not dull pleasure. It sharpens it. The man who eats a fine meal every single day cannot taste it anymore. It has become wallpaper. The man who has it rarely is struck by every flavor. Scarcity is the seasoning that makes things vivid. The glutton, chasing more, slowly destroys his own capacity to enjoy until he needs an enormous amount just to feel the faint echo of what a little once gave him. The temperate man keeps his pleasures rare enough to stay bright. He is not the one denying himself joy. He is the only one who can still fully feel it.
Now hear why this is not just healthy, but a kind of power. The man ruled by his appetites is the easiest man in the world to control. Every system that wants something from you knows it. They do not need to persuade you. They only need to keep you wanting and reaching, and never quite satisfied. The glutton is a customer for life of anything that promises one more hit. The temperate man has stepped out of that machine. He cannot be baited by the endless next thing, because he has made peace with enough. And a man who has made peace with enough is almost impossible to manipulate. You cannot lead by the nose someone who does not need the next bite. Self-command is the one freedom no one can sell you, and no one can take away.
Well, this is how temperance cures gluttony. Gluttony is the lie that the next one will finally be enough. It never is, because the wanting was never really about the thing. The wanting was the disease. Temperance does not fight the wanting head on. It starves it of its power by proving the lie wrong. Each time you stop at enough and discover that you are fine, that you did not need the next one after all, the appetite's grip loosens. You learn in your body, and not just your head, that fullness was always available, and that it was the reaching, not the lack, that kept you empty. The cure for never having enough is the practice of declaring, on purpose, that you already do.
We'll begin with a pause, exactly where the appetite lives. Before the second helping, stop and ask honestly, am I still hungry, or am I just not finished? Before the purchase, the drink, the next hour of scrolling, put one breath in the way. That breath is the whole battle. The glutton has no pause. The reach is automatic. The temperate man has built one small gap between the impulse and the act, and in that gap, for the first time, he gets to choose. Practice it on the small things, the snack, the tab, the cart, so that the pause is strong and ready on the day the appetite is roaring. A hunger you can pause is a hunger you govern.
Where is an older practice, and it is worth reclaiming, the deliberate going without, not as punishment and not as performance, but as training. To skip the thing you could easily have on purpose now and then, simply to prove to yourself that you can, that the appetite is not the master here. Every faith on earth discovered this and built it into the year, because it works. The man who has chosen freely to be hungry for a while learns something the perpetually full can never know. He learns that the wanting is survivable, that it rises and crests and passes, and he is still standing. And once you know, in your bones, that you can outlast a craving, the craving loses the only weapon it ever had over you.
Do not mistake the comfortable version for the real one. It is easy to be moderate about things you do not crave. The virtue is tested at the exact appetite that has its hooks in you, the one you reach for without thinking, the one you defend, the one you have quietly arranged your life around. To stop there on purpose while you still want more is where temperance costs something, and it will feel the first many times like a loss, like deprivation, like missing out. Push through that feeling because it is lying. On the other side of it is not emptiness, but the lightness of a man who is no longer owned, who can sit at any table and enjoy what is there and rise unhurried whenever he chooses.
Notice what temperance gives back, because it looks at first like subtraction. The glutton believes that more is the path to a full life, and spends himself chasing it, and ends heavy and dull and still unsatisfied. The temperate man takes less, and somehow ends with more. More health, because he did not ruin it. More money, because he did not spend it on things he forgot the next day. More attention, because it is not scattered across 100 half-pleasures. More taste, more energy, more time, more peace. Restraint is not the road to a smaller life. It is, strangely, the only road to a larger one, because everything you do not waste, you get to keep and aim at something that matters.
This, like all the rest, is built by doing, not by admiring. No one was ever made temperate by agreeing that moderation is wise. You become it the way the glutton became driven, one small stopping at a time, until it is who you are. Tomorrow, at some table, you will reach the point of enough. Stop there, on purpose, once. Put a single breath between an impulse and an act, and feel how much power lives in that breath. Go without one thing you could easily have, just to prove that you can. Practice on the quiet days so that it holds when the appetite truly roars. There is no shortcut, but the reward is the rarest freedom there is. The freedom of a man who can finally say enough and mean it.
You have learned to govern the appetite, to say enough at the table of the moment. But there is a hunger that does not sit at any table, and it is harder to master than all the rest. It is the hunger for now, the refusal to wait, the fury when the world is slow. A man can master his food and his fire, and still be undone the instant he is made to wait, still ready to burn the whole thing down rather than endure a delay. To govern appetite is to govern the moment. To govern time itself, to wait without breaking, is the next cure. Before that, though, practice this one. Tomorrow, when you reach enough, stop. It is the smallest word and the hardest and the door to everything.